All right. So what we're going to do, that's good that we have some things to just kind of think about. And then there's the daily conflicts that come throughout anyway. Let me get back to, there we go. What I want to do now, I'm going to go to another slide in a second that's going to have either a QR code on there you can use with your phone, or it has a link that you can go to your computer. And we're going to make a word wall or a word cloud. And what I want you to do is think about conflict and think about you're going in to deal with one of these. What do you feel inside? What thoughts do you have in your head? So we're not going to try and solve anything right now. We're just going to think about. And what I want you to know for today, what I'm going to do, we're going to get to a point where I give you some concrete steps on how to do things. But if I throw those out right now, they can sound just, I don't know, kind of trite, kind of hollow that, yeah, do this. And even if you think that's a good idea, what's inside and what's coming behind that, the backdrop is really what's going to make this more effective for you. So the first part, and probably even kind of a lot of what we're going to look at today, is more of a self-reflection and looking at mindset and how to change how we approach that. And then we'll look at those steps and apply them that way. So we are going to get to some real concrete things, but first we're going to look at some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in ourselves. This slide here, what I want you to do, it's connecting. So you have the QR code, you can use your phone, or you can go to slido.com and then type in that code. And it's all anonymous. So just type in some words that come to mind when you think of conflict, and they'll pop up here and it'll make a little word cloud for us. So we're just going to give you a couple of minutes to work on that. And that will give us a picture of what happens inside of us when we feel conflict. Yeah, when we get overwhelmed, our mind, it's hard to think. Stressed, rushing heart, non-resolution. Stressed is getting bigger. Anxious. Ooh, anxious one. Exhausted, frustrated, self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Want to flee? Yeah. Okay. Self-doubt and frustrated are gaining some ground. Anger. Yeah. Okay. So that gives a feel of what's going on. Now, we're going to develop this more, but think about if you're walking into this situation, let's say somebody comes to your office and says, we have an angry client, volunteer, whatever, that you need to go talk to. This instantly pops up inside of us. And if I'm going into that situation, or if it's one where it's an employee and I have a meeting with them coming up at 11 o'clock, I'm spending the whole morning in this stuff, it starts to cloud my thinking. I like how somebody put muddled in there. It's hard to think. It's hard to come up with a plan because all of these feelings become overwhelming. And in that process, if we approach it from that side, that ends up kind of throwing some fuel on the fire because I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm frustrated, and then I'm coming to this person who's the same way, and it's really hard to think. Somebody once said, if somebody is really angry and you're trying to talk with them, remember that you can't reason with a drunk. And if somebody's emotionally drunk, don't try and reason with them because it's not going to work. You're trying to tell them things that are logical and they're emotionally off the chart. They can't hear you. You're just going to create a fight. So there's times when you just got to realize you can't reason with the drunk in that sense. So we've got this. Now let's just kind of cleanse your palate for a second and set that aside. Now we're going to look at, let's say these guys obviously aren't in conflict. They're enjoying each other. I want you to think about a time when, or if you can't think of a time when, just pretend that maybe you just met somebody new. You come to one of these networking events and you meet somebody and you say, and you click. You think, man, I could be their friend. It's the first day you've met, but you've got the same outlook on life. You see things that's similar, you have similar interests, and you think we need to get together sometime just to go have coffee. I really like you. And I think of my wife and I, we want to find a couple friend where she really likes the wife and I really like the husband. And if you can find that, that's awesome, instead of just one or the other. And so think of a time or pretend that time is happening when you're in that situation. So now we're going to make another word cloud. And what I want you to do with this one is, what thoughts or feelings come to mind if you think of finding that new friend? So a whole different thought process here. What are you thinking? Warmth? Yeah. Possibilities? Excited, gratitude, comfort, emotional connection, pleasure, encouraging, future. Uh-huh. Hopeful, reciprocating, relaxed, comfort, very different from the other wall. Yeah, hopeful's a big one. Happy, excited are big ones. Okay. This is a very different set of thoughts and feelings. What I want to do with you is help you move from that first word cloud to this word cloud as you're approaching conflict. Now, and I don't mean that you start with the first one, you go through, you work out the conflict, and then you feel this way. What I'm saying is, before you ever walk into that situation to deal with the conflict, you switch from one word cloud to the other. And without even going any further, if you think about, if I could walk into conflict feeling this way, you don't have muddled in here. You don't have confused in here. I'm going to be thinking a lot more clearly. I'm going to be calmer, hopeful that we're going to work through this. If you could make that change, I think you can see that you would have a lot better likelihood of positive results. Or even if they were negative results, you would come out of it less beaten up than you would have otherwise. And so we're gonna develop that more. What do you think of when you see this slide? Go ahead and just share some thoughts.